The Kwaaymii Interpretive Trail is really easy. It's under a mile long, about 200 feet elevation. And even though I don't recommend that you guys drive all the way up to Laguna to do a hike like this, I did want to cover it because there is historical significance to Kwaaymii and Kwaaymii Point, which is actually just a little bit up north. I'll cover that in a second. If you guys do have any interest in taking your kids or something on a very easy trail, I've covered the Desert View, Garnet Peak the short way. There's a lot of different hikes around here. You can make them long or short. This is the shorter one. I would say park right where the bathrooms are. Make sure you have your adventure pass. Trail does go through private property a little bit, so just make sure you stay on trail. Look for these trail marker signs. That is your key to finding the trail, because it is a little bit tricky, especially right now in the snow. Other than that, it's pretty easy. Again, loop, 200 feet, under a mile, fairly simple. When you reach the top, you're at Piñon Point. From there, you see the observatory. You do see Stevenson Peak off to the distance a little bit, and it has a nice view of some of the mountains nearby, but it isn't anything near what you'd find with like Monument or Garnet Peak within Mount Laguna. Now, I want to spend a little bit of time on the historical significance of the Kwaaymii, and specifically since they're a think of it like a subdivision, right, of the 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐿 from the San Diego History Center. With the 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐿, there are and have been for hundreds of years numerous bands, clans, and familial groupings. One such group is the Kwaaymii, a family or sub-band that lived in the Sunrise Highway area of the Laguna Mountains in East San Diego. Thomas Lucas is the only guy remaining from this tribe, so they interview him here. Our interview with Tom Lucas, certainly not the first, may not be the last. Unfortunately, not much is published. Now, why Kwaaymii Interpretive Trail and Kwaaymii Point are in separate places doesn't really matter. I talked to, as you guys, the ones who know me know that I called the US Forest Service. They didn't really have a good answer, and the general thought is that this whole area of Mount Laguna was an area that was theirs. The last comment on this trail is at the very top. It is cool if you want to explain this to your kids if they're old enough. You do see some matatis, or matati. Essentially, it's a slab of rock and these holes that are made in them, and it was made so that they could crush up nuts and other types of things. I'm gonna put up this picture that I took here with my phone, but I wanna read to you the sign at Kwaaymii Point and a little bit about what it says. The Desert Path. The oral traditions of the local Kwaaymii and 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐿 people describe a rich history of trail systems stretching from the Pacific coast of the Colorado River. Trails are vital to the seasonal collection and trade of resources, as well as having close tie to tribal spiritual beliefs and cultural lifestyles. The view from Kwaaymii Point illustrates the journey experience on one of these trails. the desert path. This trail was utilized by the Kwaaymii and the Kumeyaay people as they traveled from their villages in the Laguna Mountain range to their homes in the desert below. Various stops along the trail were used to gather supplies and as places for prayer and reflection. Thanks to Tom Lucas, who I referenced earlier in this interview, a Kwaaymii descendant, the memory of the desert path and the use of this diverse landscape from prehistory to today continues to be preserved. So next time you bitch about a 3-mile hike, I'm totally kidding. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, a little bit about the trail, a little bit about the history of the Kwaaymii, the Kumeyaay, Kwaaymii Point, the desert path. Wanted to put this all together in one video. I don't proactively research history, but I do enjoy it, especially when it's history that hits so close to home. With that said, I'll see you guys next week.